Keep your eyes on the future, folks. We're going to need them there for just a little bit longer. Your next speaker of the 2021 CITYJS conference is PAVITHRA. PAVITHRA is beaming in from Sydney in Australia, where PAVITHRA is a front-end engineer with Atlassian. In this session, PAVITHRA is going to be looking at the future of bundling and front-end tooling more generally, and seeing how the things on the horizon are going to be increasing our developer happiness and therefore our user happiness. I'm sure everybody agrees with me that developer happiness is super important, so this will be a talk that people will take a hell of a lot away from, I'm sure. If any questions come up during the talk, please do make a note of them and join us for our Q&A session afterwards. Or if you're not on Gather Town, keep on posting on YouTube in the comments section, as well as post along on social media using the hashtag CITYJS2021. PAVITHRA, it is my pleasure to hand the stage over to you.
Somebody recommended you use Create React App. Knowledge required is JS, HTML, CSS, and of course React. You jump into it and invoke the command. As you get deeper into developing your app, you realize you are learning about many more things: TypeScript, Sass, ESLint, Prettier, Babel, Webpack, and it goes on. This tool stack is indicative of most of large web applications on the internet now. But the landscape is shifting under us, and I want to talk about it. Hi everybody, my name is PAVITHRA KODMAD alias PK, and I'm here to tell you about the next generation of front-end tooling. Let's get started. On the front end, we use a multiverse of tools that build on top of each other. These were possible due to the introduction of Node.js and NPM. And all of these make up for the fact that JavaScript lacks a compile time, it lacks static typing, and for a long time did not have module system. Usual suspects are static typing using TypeScript that needs a transformation step to become JavaScript. We also use Babel to make sure that the new features of JavaScript work in older browsers. We get CSS to import into JavaScript using CSS modules and be compatible with all browsers using PostCSS. We also use Jest, Mocha, or Ava for testing. And finally, we use Webpack, Rollup, or Parcel, which are bundlers, to stitch all of these together and create an optimized bundle ready for production. While these tools are state-of-the-art right now, developers still face problems using them every day. I'm mostly going to be talking about problems with transpilation and bundling here. Hot module reloading, the technique that we use to swap code in a running local environment as soon as it changes, doesn't work well all the time. Source maps are difficult and slow to generate. This creates friction while debugging issues in your code base. Developers need to maintain tons of configuration related to each of these new tools. Customizing these tools for your own use case involves learning about different and quirky plugin systems. And did I mention how slow all this is? As your code base size increases, the bundler needs to do a lot more work to set your web app up, and the startup time for your local dev environment and the dev loop itself becomes slower. Webpack 5 tries to fix this with caching, and Parcel is going in the direction of using worker threads. But in my opinion, anything slower than instant reload is too slow.
So if you have to wait like half a minute or a whole minute before every time you spin up the dev server, I'm going to be really reluctant to even think about working on that project, right? And this kind of helps me with debugging too, because now like every time someone reports a new thing, I clone the reproduction. It almost always starts instantly. I don't have to like wait.
So what are we doing about these problems? A recent catalyst that has accelerated potential solutions has been ECMAScript modules. As I mentioned before, JavaScript was not conceived with a module system in mind. We frontenders have been co-opting the module system developed by Node.js in 2009 called CommonJS. Most of the bundlers assume that the code that they receive as input will be CommonJS. The introduction of ESM in the ES6 version of JavaScript has propelled a lot of new ideas into existence. Another convenient trend that has been gripping the JS world is the idea of writing tooling in languages other than Node.js. The most significant effort in this direction has been a new bundler called ESBuild, which is written in Go. The fact that it's written in Go means that it is eons faster than anything we could write in Node.js. This page on ESBuild's documentation website outlining the reasons why it's so fast are well worth anyone's reading time. Slowly, we've been embracing the idea that we can load JavaScript as ESM for development purposes only. This cannot scale to production as we can't expect all of our users to load hundreds of modules on every page reload. But on development, this idea can really help developers overcome the problems that I mentioned earlier. Web Dev Server was one of the first tools to embrace the concept of ESM in development. Then came Snowpack, which combined ESM along with ESBuild. The latest in these tools has been Vitejs, which combines ESM, ESBuild, and a ton of new ideas into itself. With Ivan Yu, the creator of Vue.js, has also created Vitejs and is now building a community of developers around it. Vite also believes in being more opinionated. It tries to bake into itself the ideas from the past decade on how to build web applications. This makes it a little higher level tool than Webpack. In Vitejs, only the file that got edited will be transpiled and served in a developer environment. This leads to better HMR. This leads to better hot module reloading, better source maps, and a really fast dev loop, which is a pleasant dev experience. As we've so far established, Vitejs is quite awesome. But I'd like to give you a much more practical idea of what to expect and what kind of problems would Vitejs solve for you. So here are my favorite Vitejs features. Instant server start and file load. So this is the signature feature of Vite. What Vite aims to be is super fast, and it can be super fast because it uses ESM and loads only one file at a time. And so when you edit that file, it's only that file that's getting transpiled and built and served to the user. The rest of the files are cached heavily and are only changed when the hash changes. Here I have built a small to-do list in plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and have used Vite for this. So Vite gives me three scripts by default. So when you say Vite, it starts up the dev server. Vite build builds the production build, and Vite preview allows you to preview your production build. So in this to-do list, I have an index.html and I have a script type module where I import from the index.js file. When DOM content is loaded, I call the main function. So in the main function, I grab all the elements that I need and handle events and render the to-do list when new to-dos are added. So this on the right hand side is a Vite browser plugin for VS Code. It's pretty new, and but it seems to get the job done for small applications. So here's the to-do list working, and here you can see that so I can change some HTML that gets loaded instantly. Here I can add some JavaScript. That gets loaded instantly, and changing styles will hot module reload. Hot module reload all the CSS. It's pretty cool. Li font size is 5. Yeah, so basically Vite aims to be super fast, and if it isn't, then that's something that you would expect Vite to fix. The next thing that I really like about Vite right now is that it has good hot module reloading support for Vue and React out of the box as plugins that are already built. So this makes using Vite for these two frameworks very palatable and a great experience. So in the documentation, you can see that Vite is compatible with a ton of template presets that it provides out of the box. So if you want to use React plus TypeScript and all the features that you expect with that and all the production bundling that you would expect with that, you could use this template and pretend it was a Create React app, but with a much faster build. So I really like it that Vite has completely adopted the conventional TS and TypeScript and JSX support that ESBuild provides. That is, ESBuild builds any file that has an extension with TS as a TypeScript file and an extension with JSX as JSX as a file containing JSX. If a file had an extension of only JS, it wouldn't do any of these transformations. So in Webpack, you would have to, regardless of where you start from, regardless of the extension, in Webpack you would have had to configure the loaders for these features, and without any kind of out-of-the-box support. So that's where something like Vite becomes a higher level tool where it decides that it'll make this decision based on convention and not require explicit plugins or loaders for this purpose. Of course, you can do additional support through Vite plugins, but for most purposes, this will be provided to you out of the box. So those were like the top 3 features that Vite also kind of boasts of. From here onwards, we'll see the features that I personally got excited about, because these features kind of show the thinking behind building Vite, and the direction in which it forms its opinions is pretty exciting to me. So pre-bundling. So pre-bundling is a feature that Vite provides. So say you had a package like lodash.es. So and I imported, say, one function from lodash.es. Updated. So Vite here gives us a convenient kind of optimization. Maybe you could call it an optimization. So it doesn't. So the one of the drawbacks of ESM is that if you were to import a lot of files at once for an app, then the number of network requests needed to get all of them would block your browser. So Wheat kind of knows about this and has decided for you that you wouldn't care much about what comes from node modules, and if the node modules library had a ton of files, it will pre-bundle all of them into a single file as if it were production or as if it were Webpack. So the point is not to use ESM all the time strictly in development. The point is to leverage ESM in such a way that it makes development fast and convenient. So in this case, ESM is inconvenient, so Wheat tends to pre-bundle them into one file. Next is the way in which Wheat supports multiple entry points. My next favorite feature of Wheat is how Wheat has already thought about multiple entry points in an application. So many applications, for example, the ones made by Next.js and Nuxt.js, tend to have different pages as different entry points, and this is hard to configure in a bundler like Webpack. So Wheat has already thought of it and provided a convenient configuration to point to any HTML at any nested level depth and correspond that to the URL like a route. So to look for documentation on this, if you go to building for production and the multi-page app, then you'll see that if there is an index HTML here and a nested index HTML here, what you would have to do is configure them as roll-up options, and they'd be available in these at these links. Another way in which Wheat is a more complete bundler is that it provides a library mode. So this is something that Snowpack doesn't support. So library mode is where you can use Wheat as a bundler for libraries as well. It's no surprise because it's backed by Rollup, and Rollup is very well known for library support, and Wheat also provides that easily. So here I have a copy of the Webpack library example. So in Webpack library example, that it's a repo that I own, I had configured a starter template for Webpack if you were going to build a JavaScript library. In this case, it has simple functions like convert to num and convert to word. So it converts numbers to words and words to numbers. And the test is this HTML to translate the results here. So what I've done is I followed Wheat's documentation and added the build lib path here. And when I ran Wheat build browser, which is a package script that I made, Wheat creates both ES and UMD files in the dist folder. So now in my example HTML, I have imported from the ES file and used it here. So what we expect this to translate to is the number 1. So if I use VS Code's live, then yeah, you can see that this is working. So yeah, Wheat does a great job in building libraries as well. So the next feature that I really liked in Vite was the way it handled static assets, and in my case specifically images. So in my latest project is a Sokoban game where I wrote most of the code with React and did not use any bundler and just served the ESM files. I later added Vite to it, and that was super easy. So all I did was install Vite as a dev dependency and use the scripts. So here I have the Vite local dev server running, and that's how you are able to see this on localhost 3000. So the point about static asset handling in Vite is the way it handles images. So an image that I included in CSS as a background here gets included as an image, but some images get included as inline and some more in the HTML. So all of this magic goes on in the background, and you have a well optimized static asset handling system for you when you use Vite. So these dynamic imports polyfill is a curious little feature that Vite provides, and it also speaks about the thoughtfulness of the bundler, that dynamic imports are relatively new. They came to JavaScript after ESM, and even in latest browsers they're not supported completely. So Vite just takes on the responsibility of polyfilling that for you, which I thought was a good gesture. Universal plugin support. This is the final thing that kind of excites me. So as I told you earlier, writing plugins is kind of the hardest part of using a bundler like Webpack or Rollup. Each of them has a different way of hooking into the compiler and a different way of manipulating AST and so on. But what Vite does is it wants to go with the existing Rollup plugins, and this got adopted by WMR, another bundler developed by Jason. These all kind of want to have a universal plugin standard. This way the plugins are shareable between them, but Vite can have extra stuff over Rollup since it is a higher level tool. But the current claim is that all of Rollup's plugin will work in Vite also, which is a great new direction. Yeah, we'll see where it takes us. For the last year or so, many are claiming that we are entering the third age of JavaScript. This is characterized by this move to ESM for development, by the development of things like Tailwind CSS, by the usage of different languages other than Node.js for front-end tooling, by the maturing of things like Dino.js. And if you've seen, we also have the development of a new bundler standardization that could help us push better JavaScript to production. So all of these together will form the next generation of front-end tooling. Thanks everybody for listening to my talk. My name is PAVITHRA KODMAD, and I hope you enjoyed that.
Wow, PAVITHRA, thank you very much for that amazing talk. It was the perfect way to keep today rolling along with our JavaScript tooling talks. Thank you very much for delivering it as part of this year's conference. It was great to get some of your insights into the next generation of JavaScript tooling. I'm sure everybody at home enjoyed it and will be joining me right now for our round the world round of applause. If you have any questions for PAVITHRA, you are in luck. Our Q&A session will be starting any moment now over on GatherTown, so please do head on over and post your questions for us to put to PAVITHRA. Not on GatherTown? Not a problem. Join us on social media and post along, letting us know what you thought of that talk, as well as which tool you're looking forward to in the future. And don't forget to use the hashtag CITYJS2021 or just post along on YouTube in the comment section.
I know.
Pavitra, what an amazing talk. Thank you very much for being a part of this year's conference. I'm sure there are plenty of questions coming in for me to have a look at in a second. But I had one, if you don't mind getting straight into it, I had one based off of your talk. And I was kind of wondering how Vite fits in with Create React App and Nuxt and things like that. Have you got any insights into that?
Yeah, this is something that the community like wonders as this bundler like gains more popularity. So right now, Wheat is in a state where it has its own like startup scripts for React and Vue and Svelte and React with TypeScript and whatnot. But it's not really hard to like convert a create react app is what I found, though I didn't write if you have seen this, so I saw this Twitch live stream by Sunil Pai and Jason Langstoff. So they in that live stream he kind of like hacks together something for create react app that bypasses webpack and lets you work with Vite on your uh, development environment, but there is nothing official yet. As for Next.js, yeah, I looked into it. It seems harder because Next.js is very much embedded in the Webpack ecosystem. Somebody did attempt to make Next.js work with Vite because, like, Vite comes from this Vue ecosystem. Ivan, you made it. There's more enthusiasm among those community people, and so you'll see a lot of Vue related like plugins for Vite and stuff like that come out a lot more than React related, though it is slowly gaining popularity. Yeah, so Nuxt, there is one experiment that I've seen. Next, nothing yet. Create React app, apparently you can hack it together. Like I had somebody tell me on Twitter that they were able to change their Create React app to Vite and experience significant like gains from that, which is pretty nice to hear. But it's a very new ecosystem, so we'll probably see some kind of. My prediction is that we'll probably see some kind of like Webpack Vite plugin, some kind of like crossover thing there, so that the more members of the community can try it out and yeah, can benefit from the speed.
It sounds like a project that has the potential to kind of bring those communities together. You say it's a Vue
Yeah.
project
Yeah,
originally,
I
and
think
now it's in all this stuff. Good things, right?
Yeah, I think initially the project was very view oriented, but I think yeah, the community like realized that there's nothing specific to the framework about Vue or any such JavaScript framework. Like it works on vanilla JavaScript pretty straightforward. Like you don't even have to write any configuration. Like just start it up with an index HTML. So that way it's similar to Parcel. It borrowed that idea from there. Uh, yeah, so there is nothing framework specific to that. So this TypeScript framework specific, hot module reloading is framework specific, and since that's the only one, it's been taken care of for React and Vue. For Svelte, apparently they are. I think today or yesterday there was an announcement where they started using Vite, which was pretty cool to hear. So yeah, uh, it's very hyped right now and gaining a lot of traction every day. So it's pretty cool to like watch this community come together. Like the Discord app, chat is very buzzing. There's a lot of people trying it out. Yeah.
I think that's a kind of a reflection of. And please tell me if I'm wrong here. From the outside, I'm not a Vue developer or a React developer or anything like that. But the Vue.js community seems to be the most welcoming, and also the one that seems to be giving more back to the developer community more generally. Do you think that that's what we're seeing here? Maybe.
It's a I don't know. They seem to have got that pulse in this case. That's all. But it's not. So I think the person to thank here is the person who built ES Build. So that's what, and even before that, it's the people who added ECMAScript modules to the platform itself, right? So it's nice to see that domino effect of like, okay, platform added this feature, now suddenly like developers realize new potential for this platform feature, and so like Snowpack, ESBuild, Wheat, all of these come out, and then like there's more developers piling on with like integration with Next, integration with Storybook, integration with Jest and whatnot. And so it's this developing though, yeah, because the creator of Wheat is from Vue, you will see a lot of influence from that community. But who doesn't love like a fast development environment, right? That's why I think it's gaining so much traction. Like it's really fast.
Me, I
It's
like a
unreal. Yeah.
slow developer feedback so that I've got time to ponder, have a cup of tea, but maybe that's just me. We've actually had another question come in from Roberto. Thank you, Roberto, for this one. Pavitra, how difficult is it to migrate to Vite from a complex and long-living Webpack project?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the reason I got into Wheat, because I work on a complex, long-living Webpack application. It's now 4, 5 years old, and yeah, it's built up a lot of like plugins and custom plugins and a lot of things, and it's pretty slow. Like the startup time is about like a minute and a half, and like every time it reloads, you just sit there like, especially when you're pairing on Zoom and stuff, it's really frustrating. So that's how I was like looking at this whole trend emerging, and I tried converting it to Snowpack, and now I'm trying to convert to Wheat, but there are gaps. So one of the gaps that I faced is that we don't use TypeScript, we use Flow, and so that had a lot of problems. And again, like the testing scenario for this, there is no good integration with Jest yet, though there is a very fresh repository that's adding functionality. So yeah, so that's, and like Storybook, you can't use Wheat with Storybook yet, and so many parts of the ecosystem are not complete yet. So that's how I got into this. I saw that there was an opportunity that I could contribute and then make it work for my app. So my hope is like, yeah, let's see this year if we can contribute. It is pretty hard to convert. The recommended way is to like use Wheat for all new projects, and to migrate, it's yeah, I've heard some success stories with Create React app projects, but a complex Webpack app, I have not been successful yet. So that's how new the ecosystem is.
Okay. So that
Yeah.
sounds like it's a great opportunity for some people out there to learn
Yeah,
deeply
exactly.
how
People keep
Webpack.
asking, right? People keep asking how to get into open source and stuff, and people don't want to like okay, yeah, documentation is for new people, but if you're an experienced developer, you can understand these code bases and like start contributing to them and like gain some clout, I guess, in the community.
Yeah, and that's quite important. Having
Mm.
clout, it seems to be a recurring theme of this conference so far. Is that you share your knowledge, you contribute to open source, and that
Mhm.
improves you as an individual,
True.
and therefore improves your
Yeah.
career prospects. Sounds like
Yeah.
that's kind of the journey you've been on for the last
Mhm.
couple of years, I would guess. So we've had another question come in, and it's more of a. Oh, let's just scroll down. And this might make more sense to you than to me. Andre asks if you have some background in sign language.
I know. I was watching my video and I was like, why do I make so many hand gestures? But it's just the way I talk. I'm sorry. I'm
Well, I
sorry
think
if
we
that.
should add a few more in here, just for the sake of
Yeah.
it. Get your hands going, Pavitra. Let's do this.
Yeah, exactly right. And I had like a good nail polish going on at that time, so
Well, that's all right. If you've got
so
a
I had to
strong
show
nail
it off.
polish game. Um, just checking this is a question. So I love a slow developing experience. Too much time with Vim. Thing is, I want to focus on my thought first, even if it is buggy, before switching mode to fix issues or typing or
Mhm.
checking in the browser. There's not actually a question there, but I wonder if you've got any comments based upon that. Is it still
Yeah,
compatible
look,
with that mindset?
I'm not that productivity efficiency hustle kind of person. So I don't type really fast. I don't. I'm not a keyboard programmer. I use my mouse a lot and stuff. So things are slow. Like yeah, I need. I don't believe that like fast everything is required. Like you need this typing speed or whatever. But see, when you make a change, I have problems with my focus basically. So when I make a change, I want to see the effect of that change immediately. And I'm not thinking in between. I'm just waiting whether this passes, this fails, this shows up or not. And I can't think of anything else in that meantime. And if it takes time, I lose focus. If I open Twitter, then it's failure of a day. So that's a very crucial like point in time. I feel like you make the change, you see the change, and then you sit and think whether that's the change you want. So if there is gap in between that and you lose track of your thought process, you lose focus on your, at least that's my case, and that's the clip I put uh, in my talk also. uh, yeah, so I believe that's one place where speed matters, that the feedback loop has to be fast. Like at least it's my experience that I am much faster, like yeah, the if the loop is faster, like I feel more happy, I get into the flow state much easier. uh, I like to be the only blocker in my development, not my dev environment also. At least that's my thinking.
I like that. I like that. You like to be the only blocker in your development pipeline.
Yeah, like
I think the team behind the scenes here might think that I'm the only blocker in their live stream at times. No need to
Oh,
chime in.
I thought your bits were recorded. To be honest, I didn't think you were doing them
The
live.
the live bit, the anything that goes out as part of the broadcast is recorded, but that's
Mm,
so we could save all the live jazziness for this
mm,
part. So
yeah.
one thing I've been kind of asking different people from around the world is how your communities are generally. So wherever you are in the world, what is the developer community like where you are, and have you seen it adapt well to the current pandemic and everything going on?
Oh, I'm not. So I moved to Sydney like 3 years back. I was a developer in Bangalore before. I had a good amount of like roots there, where it's kind of the place where I grew up as a developer, uh, for around like yeah, like 8 years. So that's the place where I gave my first talk, like my first time I first meetup, and I realized that okay, there's something called a community that I can join, and then I can learn. I don't have to, like, even if my job sucks, like I can depend on this set of people, and like it helped me a lot to like with my like I got jobs through them and whatnot. And when I moved to Sydney, the Sydney developer it's pretty unique actually. So Sydney developer community, uh, there is a lot of interest in JavaScript, and there is a lot of interest in your meetup will have, you'll see a lot of meetups. So I did attend many, and since I was working at a company like Atlassian, like we hosted a lot of meetups in our location, which is pretty cool. Like I met a lot of cool people, but unfortunately though it hasn't translated very well for me online. The CSS community, though, like I really love here in Sydney. It's a kick ass. Like every meetup is so high quality. Like all the people that they managed to bring in, and the MC. So it's been going on for like 5 years and stuff. So that's my favorite meetup here. The JS meetup. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with them actually. I haven't been seen what's happening. Uh, but there's plenty of developers for me at Atlassian, at least. Like we have our internal meetups, and there's so many things going on. Like you'll see them on Twitter and stuff. Uh, yeah, it's been so. I definitely have missed the in-person meetups. They might be coming back. Australia is doing pretty well. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But meanwhile, my Indian community has been really close to me. Like online has removed a lot of barriers. Like
Mm.
I've attended plenty of meetups, React, and I run a women who JS kind of a girls who JS meetup very occasionally when all of them ask for it. Like we have a WhatsApp chat and we talk about things there. So that's worked out well. So that's kind of like the developer communities that I'm in. Other than like on Twitter, I'm mostly on Twitter for
Yeah.
developer friends and
So,
news and stuff.
so where can people find you on Twitter? I know it was included in your talk, but do you want to give us a reminder here?
Yeah, yeah. I'm PKODMAD on Twitter, PKODMAD, and yeah, follow me. I keep tweeting. Nowadays, I'm on this wheat bend where I'm just like tweeting things, whatever. Like the developers are so prolific there, so I can't. You'll see my feed full of that.
Awesome. Do you think that Twitter Spaces, are you aware of Twitter Spaces for a start, the
Yeah.
Clubhouse alternative? Do
Mhm.
you think that that's a good move for the platform to pivot from being
This is a
short form
weird
text
question.
to audio? I'm just
I don't
interested
know,
to
to
know
be
if you're
honest.
big on
Like,
Twitter.
I feel a little disconnected because of my time zone mostly. Like right now it's 10:45. So all things happen on Twitter when I'm asleep. So Spaces, I tried it out. It seemed like a phone call. I was not on Clubhouse also, and I'm introverted. So yeah, yeah, I'm not the right person to ask this, I guess.
Well, you're the perfect person to ask, I would say, because you're prolific on Twitter by yourself, and they've introduced a new feature, and it's useless to
Mm.
you. Go away,
Yeah, I'm
Twitter.
not a
Stop
fan.
it.
Yeah. Mm.
Just give us that edit button. That's what we want, isn't it? That's what we want. Um,
Undo.
so we've got
Um,
2 minutes left. So
mhm.
I wondered whether there was any final thoughts on Veets that you would like to leave the audience with.
No, yeah, so it's cool new technology. Try it out. It may not be the final form of what happens, or it may. The person who makes it is very experienced with developing a community and then making something as they want and stuff. Uh, or even if it is not, I think this is here to stay though. The trend is here to stay. Like we will see, like it's a faster dev environment. It's a platform supported feature, and there's more stuff coming. The platform is making specs on like how to bundle your code for production and stuff, so you'll see all of this being standardized, so it'll not be a waste of your time to try it out. If you're trying out a new project, try Weed.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing more to be said to that. So now we're just going to wrap up with a few quick fire questions. And these are the big
Oh god.
questions that are on the lips of everybody watching along. And we'll start with the biggest one of all, tabs or spaces?
No, tabs.
Tabs. There's not the popular opinion at the conference, but we respect your opinion.
Yeah, this is this is outing me, I guess.
Front end or back end?
I'm a front end developer. Like back end seems a lot of magic. I did read a book on distributed systems. Seems so hard.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of effort when serverless exists, right? But use cases, these are tools. Please don't shout at
Mm.
me, audience. Um, Vue.js or React?
I work on React JS. I've never like yeah, React.
React. And finally, apples or bananas?
Bananas. They
Yes.
yeah,
You're the only person who said bananas so far.
they're good when you're hungry, like just before
Exactly. Who wants
after
an apple when
workout.
you're hungry? You want bananas.
Yeah, and then the peels are also really good for my plants and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, good to know. Pavitra, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you be a part of this year's
Mhm.
CityJS online
Yeah,
conference. We
thank you
hope
so
to
much. Yeah.
welcome you to London in September if you've got a talk that you would like to submit. To everybody
Mhm.
watching along at home, don't forget to go and visit those sponsor booths. There's some amazing prizes for you to win. And I remembered my list this time. Contentful have a home office makeover available to win. Please don't enter that one because I want to. Don't enter that one. But the rest of them, enter them. Pavitra, thank you very much for your time. It has been an honor and a pleasure to get to sit down and chat with you. Hopefully, we'll see each other again soon.
Yeah. Goodbye.